Okay, 4, 20, 20, congruent triangles. Okay, congruent triangles. So we're gonna go back to the review a little bit. So if they give me two triangles, let's say A, B, C, and triangle D, E, F. They are pretty bad drawn, but and they're gonna give us markings for the angles. Okay, that's how you mark angles. So angle A is corresponding to D and congruent with D, and one arc, two arcs, two arcs, three arcs, three arcs. They also gonna mark the sides for us. So 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Okay, what are we gonna do with this? We can list congruent angles. Okay, so I can say the angle A is congruent to angle D. Why? Because angle A is marked for us with one arc and angle D is also marked with one arc. That means they're congruent. Angle B is congruent to angle E because this one has two arcs and this one has two arcs. And angle C is congruent to angle F, three arcs, three arcs. Okay, list congruent sides. To list congruent sides, we the angle, when we list the angle, they have an angle side, angle A. When we're listing the side, it has to have two letters. So the side goes from A to B. That is the side. So I have to call it AB. And that is congruent. Make sure over here you go with order because I started with one arc for the angle and I went to two arcs. So if I'm naming a side AB, that means I need to go the same way from D to E. And the sides has a line on the top that indicates there is a side. Then we have a side BC from B to C. So I need to find a side that goes from two arcs to three arcs, and that will be E to F. Is congruent to E to F. And then the last one is C to A. And that is congruent to three arcs to one arc, so F to D. Okay. Now what I can write about it, also I can write congruent statement, and that's where I name the triangle. So triangle ABC. Okay, I'm making this name. I'm starting with triangle ABC, and then I have to follow exactly the same order. So A goes with D, so I have to start with D, then B goes with E, B goes with E, so I go to E, and then C is with F. So triangle ABC is congruent to DEF. Second type, this one was first, but the second type of problems we can kind of go backwards. They're going to give us triangle DXY is congruent to triangle FCJ. Okay, so I'm going to draw two triangles. It doesn't matter if they're right or isosceles, it doesn't really matter. This is just a picture. It's not drawn to scale. And I'm going to mark this triangle DXY and then triangle FCJ. J. Okay, so what can I say? Even without drawing, I can list all the angles inside. But if they ask me to draw and mark it, then I have to draw 2 triangles and mark it. So what would I mark? I mark angle D is congruent. It has to be exactly in the same place to angle F. So 1 arc, 1 arc. Angle X, it cannot get 1 arc anymore. It has to get different one. X goes with C. So 2 arcs for C. And then Y will get 3 arcs. And Y goes with J. Okay. The other way you can think about it is dxy congruent to triangle FCJ. I can mark this 1, 2, 3 angles in this triangle. 1, 2, 3 angles. Angle 1 has to be congruent to angle 1 because they're in order. 2 with 2 and 3 with 3. That's how you can also think about it, or you can connect them this way. Now, how do I mark the sides? Well, I'm going to start with side DX. Okay, I'm going to put 1 mark with this. So if I use my numbers, DX is 1, 2. That means my side that is corresponding and congruent to it, it has to be 1, 2 in this triangle, which is FC. 1 line. Now the second side is XY. So let's mark 2 thick marks there. And that is 2 and 3 for giving information. So I have to find 2 and 3, which is CJ. And then the last side, I don't even have to look at anything because that's the only one that's left. That's how I would mark it. One more thing, without drawing, they can ask you to list corresponding angles and sides. So given triangle ZXY is congruent to triangle DVO. Okay. Now I don't want to draw it. I just want to list congruent angles and list congruent sides. Okay, so list congruent angles. Again, mark the put the numbers on the triangle. Has angle 1, 2, 3 XYZ and 1, 2, 3 for this one. So that means if I start with angle Z, that has to be congruent to angle D because 1 has to go with 1. Angle X has to go with angle V. Angle Y has to go with angle O. 1 with 1, 2 with 2, 3 with 3. Sides. So I'm going to start with side ZX. 1, 2. 1, 2 has to go with 1, 2 DV. And then XY. That's 2, 3. So it has to go with 2, 3, which is VO. And then the last side is from Y to Z. That's how we finish my triangle, right? So YZ is 3, 1. 3, 1. So I need to go 3, 1. OD. That's how I list all the congruent angles and sides, just given the congruent statement.